Farmers. Do we have any farmers here? We've got farmers, we've got orchardists, I just love the fact is that, when I went down with the groundswell, they had the motorcade, and I jumped on my, humble Dodge Ram twin cab V8 ute. And I went along, and then we drove for about 2.5 hours, and then we went down Queen Street, and I remember that I got interviewed, and they said, Alfred, why are you doing this? Why are you supporting the farmers? I said, it's pretty simple. They've been feeding our whānau and our family for generations. Why? Oh, yeah. Why wouldn't we? Stop beating down on the farmers. When I first went in Parliament in 2011 and 2012, the next year, I engaged in what they call the Parliamentary Business Trust. And that gives an opportunity for MPs to go into different corporates. First place I went to was Fonterra. I started off in Queen Street, seeing how that on the stock exchange and the markets, how we were trading all our products in the dairy industry. And then I ended up down in Palmerston North, where I milked my first cow. I know, the old city boy milked his first cow, and I survived. 6 cows. Somewhere someone drank the milk from those 6 cows. It was amazing. But here's what happened for me. I gained a huge amount of respect for our farmers, who work incredibly hard. I found out that they are the most emission-efficient food producers in the world. But why is it that we've now got an ideology that wants to beat down and make the burden of blame, because this is what we've created, a blame culture. And you know what people are doing? Blame it on the farmers. And we've created a culture where now we've got a generation that are being fed a diet to believe the fact is that when it comes to the climate, when it comes to the environment, here's what we need to do, blame it on the farmers. And yet none of them have actually been on the land. Because if you have, you'll understand this. Farmers work to the conditions of the environment. There's a good reason, because it's bigger than them. It does things that they can't control. So you work to that environment, even as difficult as it may be. You have to work with your livestock on the land. You look after them, you care for them. Why? Because you get the productivity out of that, because that's what you do. But a lot of people don't realise that. And here's what happens. We had 14,000 students march on Parliament about climate change. And here's what they said. You know, you baby boomers, you are the burden to blame for the cause of our future. And we had parties celebrating that. Said, isn't this amazing that our young people, and here's the crazy thing is, none of them got challenged for basically wagging school. Oh no, wagging's an old school word. What do they call it now? Truant, is it? Truancy? Yeah. Wagging? Can I use wagging? Is that? Yeah. Those of you that are laughing because you wagged school, eh? I know you did. That's how you knew. You got in trouble and you probably got caned for it or smacked. I don't know. Back in the day when you could do that, right? That's another story. We're not going into there. But here's the thing, right? They become the burden of blame. Why are we doing that? And this is what happens. So this policy here was not designed by me because I am not a farmer. But we sat with the farmers and we said to them, if we could change things, if we could do something different to what any other party is doing, what would it be? He said, start by looking at the areas of compliance. Start by making sure we're not going to have more new taxes around emissions and our carbon sinks that we're putting upon our farmers. I went and met the farmers from up in South Kaipara here, the Hyam family. They got 3,000 acres. They employ one full-time person just for compliance alone. But here's what she said. They've come from generations of farmers, right? And she doesn't mind me using her name. She said, use my name. Her name is called Janet Hyam. She turned around and said, with tears in her eyes, she said, Alfred, I never thought I'd be in this country, this lovely country that I grew up, that have been generations in, where people will see us as farmers as scum. That's the words that she used. They see us as scum. And she began to weep at that. She said, why? Why is it this is happening? Why? Because we've got people with an ideology who are trying to put the burden of blame upon our farmers. And so we've made sure that we've talked with them is that under NewZeal, we'll not only advocate for you, but we'll work with you. I mean, the amount of research that's been going on for them to be able to do the right thing, and people take 2 bad apples and then all of us think like, right, everything else there, sorry, talking about apples, but they take 2 and they think that like everything else needs to shift and change. No, it's not. And so our farmers are critically important to us as well.